What's in a logo and what can we take away from the various Walt Disney logo changes over the year? Hello everyone, this is Kevin T. Rodriguez, film critic of iCritic.net. Thank you so much for spending a few minutes of your time here with me today. And let's do something a little differently. Let's talk about the logo of the Walt Disney Company. Now, I've been talking about Disney a lot recently, particularly their CEO. I'm hoping to finally move on from that topic for a little bit, but I want to continue talking Disney. And one topic that I find fascinating is company logos. I've actually made videos on my other channel in the past about how logos are getting worse over the years, how they all are basically copying Apple. They're trying to make it all simplistic when logo designs are kind of a work of art in themselves. They say something about the company. There's hidden messages that are hidden in the logos, and what you make of your logo says a lot about you as a company. And Disney's logo has changed many times throughout the years. So let's take a few minutes to look at the various logos, how it's changed, and what that means for the future. All right, so let's start with the very first logo. This was used between 1929 to 1937, and this is definitely the busiest out of all the logos. You will see that it says Walt Disney Productions, and then Mickey Mouse is not only there, his name is prominently displayed. It shows the address of where the studio was. It mentions sound cartoons, and I think it's pretty clear why this one was retired. I mean, this was brilliant at the time because Mickey was a huge star, and they were using Mickey to sell like Silly Symphony cartoons and things like that. You saw Mickey Mouse Presents on a lot of those shorts, even if he had absolutely nothing to do with them. And so this worked for a little while when they were doing shorts and stuff, but eventually Walt wanted to not just focus on Mickey. He wanted to do other things, and his next logo would reflect that. Then we get to the second logo, which was used between 1937 and 1948. And this logo is definitely a lot simpler. It's just the founder's name. It's made to look like it was hand-drawn, and as you can see with that little dot for the eye, that would become a little iconic later on down the road. But you know, as you can see, it's not quite the iconic Disney logo yet, but it did look unique. It did look like it was hand drawn, and that's something that they would follow through with their next logo design, which would be this one. And this logo was used from 1948 to 1979, and it looks a little rougher this time. First of all, it's less legible, which is interesting. You'll notice that all the letters connect except for the W and the D. And that iconic dot for the eye has definitely been changed. Now, supposedly, this was what Walt Disney's signature actually looked like, or it looked a lot closer to this in any rate. So it was like more of a personal design choice. Now, this logo would actually overlap with other logos, and we're going to talk about that with the next one, because in 1972 through 1983 the logo got completely uphealed, and well, this looks much more to what it is today. As you can see, that iconic I dot has returned, and the classic D that we all know and love today are here, and it's now called Walt Disney Productions. Now, certain movies did feature the previous logo if Walt himself had approved the project or worked a little on the project before he died, but this was basically to reflect the change that it was no longer Walt Disney. It was Walt Disney, the production company. And you know, it was a distinction that needed to be made, but then there would need to be another change shortly afterwards as Walt Disney Productions started to become a little bit of a bigger thing than before. Because in 1983 through 1985, it was slightly tweaked to say Walt Disney Pictures. Now, this was reflective of, you know, the company changing names, because the studio, I believe, used to be called Walt Disney Productions, but then it got changed to the Walt Disney Company. Well, the Walt Disney Company does not look good in front of a movie, so this logo was changed to reflect that it was Walt Disney Pictures. A very minor but significant change. But then the next significant change, and the first real addition to the logos being something more than just the name of the founder, would take place very shortly, because this was by far the briefest of the logos that they used. Because in 1985, Walt Disney Pictures, they added the iconic castle to the logo. This is because, well, the theme parks had definitely made their mark on the world, and Sleeping Beauty's castle was definitely iconic. And so it was kind of like a subtle little synergy thing, like, hey, remember that place you like going to? We make movies too. Or if you go to the movie, hey, remember that theme park? It's out there. So that's kind of what it was there. There were horizontal lines to let the colors shine through a little bit more. And of course, one of the hallmarks of this logo is that when it was in motion, the arch over would play out in real life, because that was like Tinkerbell doing that. And sometimes Tinkerbell would even spell out Walt Disney Pictures in the name and then go to the arch as the castle kind of came together. It was a really cool design, and it lasted from 1985 all the way to 2006, 1 year after Bob Iger took over the Disney company. And when he took over, he decided to update the logo a little bit. Well, maybe not him personally, but it was decided that it was a new era, and so a new logo was needed. And you can see both the big and the minor changes. First of all, at this point, the Walt Disney typography was definitely settled. Like, they weren't going to change that, and they probably never will at the end of the day, although they did make one significant change, I guess, which we will talk about in a minute. And as you can see, Pictures is now all in uppercase, and they put a lot more detail to the castle. Now, this logo, ironically, isn't really seen in front of any movies. They made a 3D version of this, and so this is kind of more for the division. But it is a very nice upgrade. I think this is an upgrade. It's very good looking. It's very detailed. I even like how the end of the arch is a star, like when you wish upon a star. There is definitely a lot being said here, and I really dig it. But they did make one more minor but significant change, and it's by far the most controversial. Because in 2011, this new logo appeared, and as you can see, the castle is still there, the star is still there, and Disney is still spelled the same way. But you will notice that Walt is no longer there, and Pictures is no longer there. And so it was decided that this logo would kind of be used as a general all-purpose thing. You could put it on the CDs, you can put it on the video games, you could put it on the books, you can put it on the merchandise. It wasn't Walt Disney Pictures. They could just use this logo for Disney. And so that was, I believe, the thought process behind why they did that. But I will say, the one thing about this change that does bug me just a little bit is that they did take Walt out of the name. And you know, Iger has been accused of favoring his own acquisitions over the classic stuff that Walt Disney himself built. And if there was ever a case to be made that that is at some part of the philosophy of the company right now fundamentally true, it is in this logo. Because Walt has been de-emphasized and Disney has been emphasized, and yes, Disney is a company. So they are emphasizing the company now rather than the founder. Do I think that's a make or break thing? No, but I definitely understand why it rubs people the wrong way. It makes the company more corporate and less personal, because one of the things about Walt Disney is that he did seem like a grand uncle. He was a person. He was someone you could relate to. And by de-emphasizing it, well, it's just another corporation at that point. And I don't think Walt himself was interested in becoming a corporation. But there you have it. All right, so those were all the logos for Disney, and as you can see, there's definitely some changes. Like, when it started out, it was like they were throwing as much stuff out there. Mickey Mouse, Walt Disney, Sound Cartoon. They wanted to let you know, like, hey, remember Steamboat Willie, how much you loved that? We made this too. So that made sense. But then as Walt himself started to expand, the logo morphed into something more personal, and then when he died, the company decided to make a more general design logo while trying to keep the personal touches to the current logo, which seems to emphasize the corporation more than the founder, for better or for worse, and that's probably a for worse aspect. But I would like to know, what do you think of the logos? Which one is your favorite? And let us know in the comments below. Like, favorite, share, subscribe, and as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.